Welcome to NEK-TV Rocks. My guest today is Carl King.
Thank you, Pat.
And Carl is a man with a lot of ideas who is just starting to implement them in Newport. Your work is around veterans?
Correct.
Tell me a bit about yourself.
Basically, I'm passionate. I'm a musician, so I kind of transferred this over into this. It's all about motivation and dedication.
Are you a veteran?
I'm also a veteran as well, yes.
So you've just brought all these pieces together?
Yeah, I kind of sat back for a while, and, you know, I've made a lot of mistakes in life, and without making mistakes, you can't show growth, you know, and better yourself. And I've done a lot of things to better myself, and now I've focused on something, and this is kind of like my life's work now. And I'm passionate because I'm a veteran. I've been in these positions. I know what it's like. I've been on someone's couch wondering if, you know, I drank the last of that milk, or if I ate that last piece of bologna or something, am I going to be kicked out at a moment's notice? It's a horrible thing, and that can keep somebody down.
There are a lot of veterans, to my knowledge, in Newport. Do you have a way of connecting with them?
Right now, I have a veteran support group I'm offering at the library, 4 to 6 on Thursdays. And what I'm trying to do is collect data, but also offer a place for them to gather, which doesn't have alcohol or any blocks that wouldn't want them to come and just, you know, maybe seek services or help or just someone to talk to. But the group will decide what it wants to be, and we can offer private services for that. And there's a few local councils in the community here will take up anybody for counseling services.
So you have people come into your group, and the group decides what it wants to do or talk about.
Correct.
And you can make referrals from that group?
Absolutely, correct.
That's great.
And that's what this community needs. They need to know that there's some place they can go, and that someone cares, and that there's a place they can, one, work as a group, and two, work as an individual or a family, which in this area is just so prevalent. The need for is family services, child family services, veterans, homelessness.
Right.
We're inundated with so much, man.
And it's also really hard, or my understanding is it's really hard for veterans to find somebody to connect with, because those are unique experiences.
Absolutely.
And it's really hard for others to relate if they haven't experienced the same. So there's a big barrier that's immediately gone.
Exactly. And if I'm kind of designed to take these barriers away. For instance, a veteran does not want to be in a clinical environment to seek services.
Who does?
Who does? And what I'm trying to do is provide options where someone, no matter what demographic, where they're coming from, if you want help or need help, you can come to us and we can get it to you. If you want to be in the tent and talk to a counselor because that's the environment you want to be in, and that's the conduit to reach you, we're going to offer that. If you want to be in a room, just sit there and respite and just be away from everything and then talk, we can have that option for you. If you want to be in a group session, we can do that for you. We're lining up to get transportation services. So transportation in Northeast Kingdom is a lot of barriers as well too, because for one, they can't get to the services.
Right.
Two, they can't get to the proper nutrition they need as well. We're trying to get that effective services to them as well. Domestic violence, big issue up here. If we can get a veteran or anybody out of a situation where they can come to us and feel comfortable and say, hey, this is not a good situation, I just need some place to go, Camp Care is that place. I mean, there's options and that everybody needs and to make right choices.
How do people find you?
Well, for one, right now, I'm Carl King. I have a phone number, 802-323-7670, and I'm carlking73@yahoo.com. Yahoo.com.
Yeah, it's good to know your own email.
Yeah, right, yeah.
It's
I don't
funny.
email myself much.
It's funny because you sort of came out of nowhere. I saw a couple of references to the group, And then I picked up the 99's newsletter, and there's an article there, and then you posted on Facebook.
Right, and there was an article a couple, 3 weeks ago Christopher Roy did there for the newspaper.
That's great. Did you get people connect with you through that?
Yes, I certainly had people reach out. We certainly need more. We need more volunteer support. We need to get this facility, folks, and if we do not, we're going to turn our backs. And our creed is to never leave a man behind. And if we do, we not get these services to these people, we're going to, and we're knowingly doing it, and that's wrong.
Okay, I'm going to back you up a minute because you just mentioned a facility. What facility is that?
Oh, excuse me, Sacred Heart. It's been sitting here doing nothing but waiting for us.
Do they know that yet?
Yeah, I've reached out. I've talked to Sister Carol, but I also talked with Connie, who's the real estate agent, Century 21 Farm and Forest, and that is my target. And it seems the most befitting. I could do, could do the most effective services to our community and veterans.
It's a great building.
It is.
Fabulous view.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of side effects again.
I'm sure.
Like I said, the community benefits and your eyes benefit, I guess. But really, we can get education, we can get food, we can get shelter, we can have services in that building, so we don't have people have to walk around, bounce around to different ones. Everybody's fighting for the same thing. Let's be a coalition and act together and effectively change this community.
What has to happen for you to get that building?
Funds. Just like everybody, we're going to need a building to operate in. If you build it, they will come. Folks, I'm getting this lined up. We need the funds, whether it be from foundations, donations, privates, grants, whatever. We need to find the funding to get it. It's really easy. The money is out there. They just need to know that we need it. And we have the right combination of things that require us to get that building to make effective services to our veterans.
And you have the structure to run it.
Absolutely, absolutely. We need volunteers, board members, people who write grants, expertise in writing grants. It takes that to maintain the building. Once you get the building, you have to maintain it. And you have to have a great structure, as you're alluding to operate that. A lot of people get into projects like that, and they're all well and good. And again, back to motivation and dedication.
Right.
Without them too, you will not have success. You can be motivated, but never dedicated to do anything. And you can be dedicated, but yet motivated and never get off your butt and do anything. But with both of them, you will be successful.
So your first step is that you have to become a non-profit organization.
And to expedite that, I'm looking to what they call umbrella, or a fiscal sponsor. And what that will do, allow Camp Care to exist and receive funds through the sponsoring organizations, 501c3.
Have you found one yet?
We need one, folks. I've asked a few, and they're thinking about it. And the more we think, and the more months they think about it, the more months people die, more people go hungry, and more people are going to get cold.
Yeah.
So we need to act now.
So you're really having to think about who are going to be the best partners for you with this.
That's correct. And we want people who are going to be aligned with veterans in the community and not aligned with any political parties or aligned with a banking institution who wants to line their pockets.
Right.
This is about our community, and the dollars going straight to that effort. And that's it.
Yeah.
And it sounds just that simple, and it really is.
Right. I mean, it certainly makes sense because everybody recognizes there are veterans. Everybody recognizes that they're struggling.
Sure.
Everybody recognizes that the promised funding for veterans is not where it's supposed to be. And up here, we all recognize that it's a really long drive to get to where the services are.
We are the furthest. Demographically, we are the furthest and the most inundated.
Right.
Newport, of course, we all know, is more or less the most impoverished city and county, and we need to show some betterment of Newport. And this will show growth. This will show us, as I'm putting out there now, the campaign I'll soon talk about more, is the Newport Nice. You know, let's show everybody we're Newport Nice. Let's do better than what we once were.
Yeah. Yeah, that actually, I saw that on Facebook, Newport Nice. That was really cute.
Thank you. Yeah.
And I saw you trademarked it.
Yes, ma'am.
Smart. Nobody can take that.
Well, I don't come here unprepared.
Right.
And to again answer your question you asked,
Yeah.
I sat back for quite a while and watched what everybody was doing. I saw their successes, and I saw their weaknesses, and I saw where they failed.
Right.
And that's where I'm coming to connect the dots. Now, I'm not saying they're not effective. They're effective only to what their mandates allow them to be.
Right.
And we, hopefully, and I'm very adamant about it, I'm not getting the bureaucratic anchor stuck in me, but there's discretionary funds from other people's.
Yeah.
And that's what I want. You help us with that bill to maintain it, I can help you to operate and help the community.
Right. It is hard to keep that anchor, as you describe it, unattached. Because...
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. It's as simple as that. You make it your directive not to do that. There's money out there.
Right.
I don't know if I can legally do this, but just for instance, Ben and Jerry's,
Yes.
for instance, has about $5.5 million in their funds to give out to charities, so on and so forth. Did you know that?
I knew they had money.
Yeah, but a lot of people do not know that, and they are actually really for veterans as well too, and community. Bless them.
And they're a Vermont company.
And they're a
Even
Vermont
better.
company local, and I'm all about local and veterans.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, or last year, by last year's statistics, about 2.38 million of that was accessed. That revealed two things. One is a lot of people didn't know that, and two is no one fit the criteria that allowed enough of that money to
Right.
be accessed. With the subject of the veterans, children's and families, schools and stuff, I would believe we would fill every category check mark they would require to get funding.
Yeah. Do you have any idea of real numbers of how many veterans are there in the Newport area? Or the
I've heard
Northeast Kingdom?
about 100 right in this county. I do not have accurate data. No one seems to, because there's some people who will not work with some of these organizations.
Right.
And again, that's where we want to get options, and that's why I'm trying to get people or the supporters, veterans or supporters, so we can
Right.
gather them statistics.
100 actually isn't very many.
I don't believe that's entirely accurate, but it's some of the information I'm getting. But,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the best I can give you. I will do my best to get the information
Yeah.
to you as I get it, Pam.
I mean, that sort of makes sense to me for people who are new veterans. But
Well, you know, a lot of pride
There's a-
comes out with the young as well, too. They're like, well, I'm a veteran, but I'm too young, and I don't want to be listed or labeled like this, and they do not seek the services.
right.
But if you get services, like we're going to develop a respite spot where we'll have tents and obstacle courses, trails and stuff, where you can walk a trail, nature trail, and just walk and talk. And that may be just all they need.
We already have trails in town that you can already use
Yes,
and
but
partner
some
with.
may want a more private environment for some of their private
Our
thoughts.
trails are not really well used, so
Well, I encourage
think you
everybody
would
to enjoy
have
Newport
easy
all the time.
access. Yeah,
So go Newport.
yeah. So, what about women?
And
The assumption is that most veterans are males, but that's not true.
in my eyes, a veteran is a person.
Uh-huh.
That's it. And our veterans are not just a person serving, it's the people's family they leave behind. They're served as well, too.
Yes, they did.
A lot of people don't really take it to the full depths of these people leave their families to defend yours. Sit back and think about that for a moment. Let that set in. That's a passion, that's a depth that a lot of people can't conceive. And that's what makes that brotherhood so deep and intimate. And that's kind of where we're at. You know, only a vet knows a vet. You know. But also I believe in melding our community. There's so many things our veterans doesn't have children. Let's get our veterans to teach a trade, our services. You know, they teach our veterans, our service members, all these, the trades and stuff. Let's get them involved in our community, which we will, and have them teaching the kids a trade. Let's get big brothers and big sisters coming here in Newport.
Yes, it is.
There we go. There's a facility. Open doors, folks. Come contact me. We've got plenty of space. Let's try to fill it up with these services. Camp Care USA here in Newport. Newport nice.
Do you have a sort of time schedule for getting your facility? Because obviously you're working on programs way before you get the facility.
Well, I'm not going to sit on idle hands.
No, I didn't think
I'm
you
going to
were.
sit and do whatever I can, so when things line up, I'm ahead of the game. And that's what you have to. You got to be diligent at doing
Right.
this. Even though one process is slow, I've got to work another process and have everything lined up. Logistics, and it's all about that. Without the logistics, this will fail. Most certainly.
So are the
to-
realtors and the nuns interested in you guys acquiring
I want to be
this?
very honest with you. They're interested in the money they're asking, but the cause touches everybody's heart.
Sure.
So they're certainly going to be working with us, and we're going to enter. I'm going to present to the next stage in this process, and we're going to do counter offers and so on and so forth. And I'm actually going to be honest with everybody. I'm going to ask them, while in this works, can we use this building now to start effectively getting services? It's cold, folks. It's getting colder. You know, if we can start
Sure.
doing these things now while we're doing it, why waste the space?
Can you rent the space?
Yeah, what
Rent to buy.
We'll sign a contract, let us use it, we'll get the money. Now the word's getting out, the money will come. If you build it, they will come. How do you know where to send the money, folks? Camp Care USA, that's where you gotta send it, and we'll buy it, and we'll get these services that are so much needed in our community. And we're gonna set the model and hopefully go national. Have one in every state.
Well, let's start with Newport
Right,
first.
we'll set the model.
Yeah.
Let's make it work.
Have you had contact with the prison here?
I actually had a couple people contact me via the prison. I also have been contacted at the VA. They're seeing the growth and efforts I've made, and they actually said to me, if we get this building and within a year they see good positive things, they're going to offer contracts.
That
So,
would be
I mean,
good.
I'm offering jobs to Newport. I mean, there's so much involved here. People who have a trade or a practice or a craft who doesn't have a building to practice in, Camp Care is going to be it. You know, doctors, therapists, and stuff. I mean, we have so many people that have no place to practice. Let's get them in and rotate. The colleges, teaching schools. Let's all everybody connect. I mean, it's there. Can you see it?
I can see that building and I can see its potential for so many different things.
But if we get them all doing the same thing and focus on the same thing, imagine how powerfully effective we can be. Imagine what we'll be saying next year when you sit down and say, wow, it's been a year, ...
Yeah. When did you actually start? I'm sure you were starting in your head a long time ago, but when did you actually put your first step on the ground?
July 31st of this year is when we were recognized for the Secretary of State of Vermont as Camp Care USA. So technically, by that, we started then the process of lining things up, people and what's around there and so on and so forth. Yeah, like you said, a little before that.
So you became real on paper at the end of
July 1st. And my goal was to actually, and I'm way ahead of schedule, was to actually have a tent up next year, to have somebody just to go there and get out of the weather and get some information. And my motivation and dedication to this is just, I mean, we're ready to get a building and fill it with services. And the year's not even done, Pam.
So initially, you thought your first step was going to be a tent.
That was the original.
Boy, have you moved fast, moved on from there.
Well,
That's
again,
good.
that's my passion, and
Right.
this requires that, Pam.
Yeah.
And if I sit back idle and go slow, you know, beyond means of reasonality, people, again, will die. They will suffer, and it'll look real bad.
Do you want organizations to contact you to see if there's ways in which they can partner?
Absolutely. I want anybody and everybody to contact, whether it can be monetary, voluntary, material services, vehicles. Whatever services they can do, we need it. Our community needs that. And if we, again, cumulatively get this all together,
Right.
we are going to be a powerful force. And again, with Newport lining up, wow, isn't this going to be a fantastic thing?
How do veterans get down to the Veterans Hospital or the VA? That's a
Right
long
now,
haul.
either you go by your own vehicle, There is a program where they will use RCT, but you got to have pre-approval.
Right.
They do have the DAV, bless them, they have that service, but sometimes that service can be ineffective.
Right.
You have to be sick on certain days. The vehicle or the driver may have
Sure.
their issues. You know, fair enough.
It's a long haul, too.
Yes, and that alone is enough to scare people from getting effective services through the VA.
Right.
Because in their eyes, and I hear this, it's not my opinion, just to answer your question, they feel that's ineffective.
Right.
And they just give up, and that's it. If we can give them something to believe in and show the tangibility and that it's working, we're going to restore the faith in Newport and in our veterans and our community.
Right. Have you had contact with Journey to Recovery Center?
I'm going to reach out to Mike. There's a lot of services here I want to connect, and that's
Okay.
one of them. A lot of these people have funding for buildings and stuff like that, in groups where we can concentrate a lot of that. It's great to have them all over the place because people without vehicles in town, it's easy to walk. You know, we want places where they can get to, easy
Right.
accessibility. But again, great services here as well too. I'm going to give a shout out to the United Church here on 3rd Street. Great community efforts. I really like what they're doing, and I would like to offer them, you know, to help out, and they're looking for school daycares and stuff, and wow, here it is. You ask, and here it is.
Their daycare, the people who are running that were here a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
It's a wonderful program.
It is, and it seems like, you know, we're listening to the community, and you asked, all of a sudden I pounced, and I'm like already set to go, because I was preparing.
Right.
And I didn't want to have egg in my face. It would be wrong disservice to the veterans and our community. Not about me. Egg in my face, I've had that several times. You know, but it's them that don't need it.
Right.
So,
It's true. It's really hard to approach a service, feel rejected, and then think, now what? And
and change does not happen overnight.
really?
It does not. The willingness to change happens overnight. And it took me for a while to make effective change in myself. I changed here first. We change our community, and let our community go up the chain.
How long were you in the services?
I was in the Vermont National Guard, and I went active duty Army as well. So 94 to 98 altogether.
Did you think of making it a career?
Absolutely, I was a career person. And it's funny you say that too, because I told someone, you know, please help me with this, because I never retired up in here and in my heart. I can still serve my country by serving as veterans in my
Sure.
community. So this is my way to continue serving.
Yeah. Did you find that those 4 years impacted on you and your family in ways that have sort of inspired what you're doing now?
Absolutely. Certainly, it opened my eyes to a lot of things. One is there's stuff outside of the state and the community I live in. There's another world out there.
Yeah.
And I got to see it. And I've seen the bad and I've seen the good. And that's kind of where I'm fitting all the pieces in finally. In my life, I've kind of got it in a way where I think it's in the right direction, and this is the right thing, and I feel as though I'm the right person to do this.
So that was 20 years ago when you technically ended your career
Correct.
in the military. What have you been doing since then, other than putting pieces together in your head?
Oh, I've had you know, jobs and stuff.
I'm sure.
I actually was my own contract one time and got hurt on a roof, and I have this funny little walk now, and that really slowed my activities down.
Sure.
So I had been collecting SSDI, and then one day I said, you know, that may not work, but this is. So I'm not disabled.
Right.
I'm very able and capable of helping somebody and myself. This doesn't have to label me. This means I
Right.
can't walk 20
Does
miles.
not have to define you.
Right. So, and now I want to change my life and help guide others through the wisdom I've gained. So,
So you really took some of your own experiences and put this together. Were you able to get help through the VA when you got injured?
Oh yeah, the VA. I've never really had a problem with the VA. There are challenges in the VA, certainly, but I've never personally. I hear a lot of people have differences of opinion.
Sure.
But that they can be isolated instances. I'm not sure about mass instances, but there's certainly everybody has their problems and successes.
Right. So you certainly have the experience of looking at an existing system and being able to work your way through it.
Exactly. And there's other area agencies around
Yeah.
here that present me data as a model as well too, where I can see what this community needs and what it's not getting and how long it takes to get that. Some services, Pam, can take 6 to 9 months
I know.
to get here.
It's crazy,
And that-
isn't it?
Well, no pun intended, yes.
Yeah, it really is.
I have a personal stake in it. I have a child in the system, unfortunately, not by my doing, and that child did not get effective services for quite a while, and things are still going on.
Right.
And that just, it really, it frustrated me to know that, and to know that I could, in my pocket, reach out and have a counselor right now, help my child, and to know that the state's sitting there for 6 to 9 months not doing anything until they can, that just really put the nail in the coffin. You know, that something needs to be done. The systems, I believe in the system, but I also believe the system has breaks and cracks in it that can be fixed if addressed.
Right. And you can certainly see that up here in the Northeast Kingdom, we've tended to be forgotten,
That is correct.
which is sort of sad, but
I don't believe it's by accident.
probably not.
I mean, if you go back in the annals of some of the taped history here, especially with the state building, when the governor says, you know, we all come in here and say we're going to try to do something for Newport, and just seems like that they say that every time they come here and just never come back. So, if we all, you know, I ended my newspaper article with this saying, and if you don't mind me saying, I'm not here to shake up the world, Pam. I'm here to shake up Newport and let Newport shake up the world. You know, and I believe this education system, we can't get education as primary. How can we effectively make changes to the future if we stay with the old stinking thinking?
Certainly makes sense.
And with that school, I'd also, like I said, I'd like to make a model of how a good food program and a good education availability can make a difference. Now I want to show them 2 statistics a couple years down the road and see what happens. Be very interested what them statistics would reveal, and how effective Camp Care USA and its associates and
It certainly makes a difference if you can show success.
that's right. And we're prepared to do that.
Yeah, and if you've got some ways of sort of showing just incremental change, because as you said earlier, change takes a long time. But if you can show that somebody who was on the streets isn't on the streets, or somebody who was self-medicating with alcohol or other drugs is no longer doing that, and that families are more able to cope with helping the person who's, quote, identified as the problem, that nothing succeeds like success.
That's right. And a communal effort. I mean, just the old saying rings true. It takes a village to raise a child.
Yes, it does.
What do you think it takes to raise the village? The whole community.
Yes. And as we look at some of the changes that are happening in some of our communities right now, I mean, what's happening in the 3rd Street area is fantastic. And if that gets replicated around the city, that's another perfect model for what you're advocating.
There's a lot of services that are needed here. And if it's time to wake up, it's time to be effective and do something. I actually made a post, and if I could, and I said with the passing of Stanley, you know, he made a comment in one of his, you know, he's famous for with great power comes great responsibility.
Absolutely.
And that's what and I asked the question, don't we have the power to affect lives? Don't we have the power to change lives?
Yes.
And don't we have the power to save lives?
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest question I'll ask you is, are you willing?
And that is the perfect point to end this discussion
Well,
today.
thank you so much, Pam, for
And
having
in a
us.
year, come back and we'll see.
Well,
what are
how
the
about
changes?
in a month, and let's say, hey, we did it.
No, a year, then we can really see change.
Right, let's see the change, and let's go
Yeah.
through them statistics.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you, ma'am.
And I
Pleasure.
really hope your group takes off and that the rest of the pieces just fall into place.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay.